this is Trinisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about good intentions. So, what made me what made me want to talk about good intentions is earlier today, I was just doing some self-reflecting, and I started to think about how in the world there really is not just all good people or all bad people. There's a mix of both, and it started making me think about how I would react to other people and what I would do in different situations. And lately, I've been a little tested with different characters. And instead of letting it bring me down or show me who I'm not, whose daughter I'm not, or whose I'm not, I use that opportunity to show me whose I am. And regardless of what anyone else's intentions are, my intentions are always going to be good. If I come off the wrong way, it's not my intention to ever disrespect or hurt someone. I don't go at a situation just trying to hurt someone. If I'm hurting and I hurt someone on accident, that's different. I would not. I'm not the type of person who goes out of my way to hurt or break someone. And it doesn't matter how nasty you are to me. I've met some really cruel people and I've managed to keep my head above water. I've managed to stay focused on God. And it's not always easy. Sometimes when people try you, they really try you and and it's difficult to just be the bigger person. But I know that God will see my strength and my meekness. He won't see it as me being a weak person like society would. He doesn't see it as me just bending to someone else's will. He sees it as me leading with love and kindness. That by no means that I would allow someone to disrespect me or talk to me any kind of way. I absolutely do not stand for something like that. If someone is disrespectful to me, I lead in the most loving and kind way, and I also still stand on my standards. I still stand up for myself. I might not yell or raise my voice, but they know that I'm being serious, that I do not tolerate disrespect at all. And I don't mean in situations where, I've just been so weak that I've actually just succumbed to the scenario. I'm not talking about something like that. And I'm working on bettering myself in that area. I mean, if someone blatantly does something or tries me, I, in a very stern way, let them know that that's not what it's about to be. And I'm not joking at all because my life is precious. And I'm not going to live a miserable life because someone else had a bad day, because someone else wants to take their insecurities out on me, because someone else is going through a bad situation. That's not what we're going to do. That's not what I plan to do with my life. And I don't care. I mean, I don't care what the situation enthralls. Like, I don't care what it entails. I don't care if this just so happened to be the only place that I can go. This so happened to be the only job that I can get. This so happened to be the only man left in the world. There is nothing that would make me want to dishonor or disrespect myself or allow someone else to disrespect me just because. That is ungodly in all its ways. God did not put me on this earth to be miserable and to tolerate anything. Even Jesus had standards. When he walked into the synagogue, which is a church, he was flipping over tables because they were turning it into something that it wasn't supposed to be. He even had standards. If Jesus has standards, why don't we? We should be definitely having standards because being kind and loving does not mean allowing someone to walk all over top of you. That does not mean being someone's punching bag. That does not mean being someone's verbal verbal assassination. That what it means is I'm kind to everyone, no matter who it is. I pray for the people who, no matter how nasty they are, I still pray for them. And when it comes the time, I would not embarrass someone in front of everyone. If they say something to me, I of course have to stand up for myself in front of everyone. I'm not just going to let that happen. I also don't just say, well, I go, I hear what you're saying, and I understand how frustrating this could be. This is what I am willing to do. This is what I will do. And I am taking care of everything on my end. Or I will have this, this, and this planned out. I will do this. Whatever it is, whatever I can control is what I talk to, what I speak to. I don't know what else is going on in the situation. I don't know what anyone else feels or anything else. All I know is that I want to be godly. All I know is that I want to be the best person that I can be. All I know is that I want to be pleasing to God. I don't care. I care about people's well being, so please don't take that the wrong way. But I don't care what anyone else thinks besides my opinion for myself and God's. That's it. I care about the people who are in my life. I care about their well being. I want them to be good. Would I ever sacrifice my sanity, my mental capacity, my mental state, my physical well being for any person in this entire world? Absolutely not. For God, absolutely. And God would never ask me to do something like that. So, I wanted to do this video because I think it's important for us to know that regardless of who the person is in our life, like some of the people that I've met who are trying, some of the people who I've met who may be like ill-tempered or something else, I don't think that they're a part of my life or, passing through my life just because. I think that God is teaching me patience. He's teaching me how to stand on my word. He's teaching me how to be more resilient. He's teaching me how to be stronger. And it's building me into a better person. I don't ever take a situation and pretend as if it's not going to be used for God's glory. There's nothing any person, any human being could ever do to try to stop something that God already put in motion. There's nothing that any person could ever speak, say, or do in my life when I'm looking towards God and I'm in my purpose that would ever be able to stop God's plan or strategy for my life. So regardless of how powerful any person thinks they are, how many friends they have, whatever else is going on, popularity does not mean purpose. Popularity does not mean godliness. Popularity does not mean that equals kindness or goodness or being Christ-like. That just means that a lot of people and you agree on the same thing. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be like anybody else. I want to be me, and that's it. I want to be the one different person. I don't need to have a friendship like a group of 1,200 people to have a group of 1,200 friends. I just need one or two close people who got my back, who is willing to be honest with me and tell me like it is in the most loving, kind way. That's all I need in my life. I only need the people in my life who God is allowing to be a part of my life. Will I meet or, interact with other people? Of course. Will I still lead with love and kindness? Of course. But that by no means means that I'm seeking approval from everyone else just to do what God intended for me to do in my life. If God is saying that He needs me to be this place or do this thing, that's exactly what I need to do. And there's nothing in this world that's more important than my obedience to God. It just isn't. There's no man that's going to be fine enough. They might make me like second guess myself, but I would never second guess God. I would not second guess God. Because I'd be like, girl, but I would be like, focus on Jesus. But yeah, there's just nothing, there's no amount of money that can make me feel as peaceful as God does. There's nothing that I could ever want for. Like, I have everything that I need, and I will always have everything that I need as long as I'm focused on God. And I don't mean I'm going to be like the wealthiest, richest person in the world just because I'm focused on God. I don't mean that I'm going to have like the things that I want. I'm just going to have the things that I absolutely need in my life. I will always be good with God. And I will always, my plan is to lead with good intentions for the rest of my life. I've been through some things where certain situations people are like, oh, you're talking about being Christ-like, but sometimes you got to you got to go down to people's level. And I understand what they're saying. And you do have to match people's energy. But I, by no means, want to allow any person to bring me down to a level that God does not plan for me to be at all. If he's already brought me out of that, I don't need to be back in that situation, being back in that headspace. I'm trying to be clear minded with peace and joy. I'm not trying to feel resentment and anger and hostility just because of one individual person or a couple individual people. I'm only trying to feel like God intended for me to feel and be and think. If God is saying, move this way, do this, this is exactly what I need to do. Even if no one ever understands, I don't even understand most of the time. God will say, do this way, do this that way. And I'll be like, it doesn't make any sense for me to go this way, but okay. One day, and it's funny because a pastor in one sermon was talking about how God will tell you to do all these things, and sometimes they don't make sense, which is true. And he said that, but the more obedient you are to God, the more blessings you will receive. And it's not just financial, it's not just a physical blessing. Sometimes it's emotional blessings. Sometimes it's the peace that you've been seeking or the rest that you haven't been able to get for a month. And God just blesses you with it. You get the best sleep that you've ever had in your entire life. And sometimes we take things for granted and we really just feel like, oh, well, I don't need to be obedient right now. It doesn't make any sense. But when it doesn't make any sense, most of the time that's God. Because if you can emotionally understand what God is doing, it's probably the adversary. Because God's plans are so strategic, none of us will ever be able to guess what his plan, his strategy is for our life. We could think of several scenarios of how the situation is going to go, how it's going to turn out, how we're going to meet this person, how we're going to get this job or whatever else. God will, with no credentials, you don't have to have any background. You go and fill out the application that God told you to fill out and you get the job. It's people that are way more qualified for this position, but it came to you because that's where God intended for you to be. It will never make sense to you. But if you're rocking with God, He got your back. Like, you don't even understand. And I could sit here and pretend like I understand what God is doing. Most of the time, I don't know it all. Most of the time, I'm just being obedient. I'm just walking the straight and narrow path and just being obedient. And the next thing you know, I'm blessed and I'm like, oh my God. Like every time I get spiritual amnesia and I'm just like shocked. Like I can't believe that God blessed me. And it's mostly because I don't feel like I deserve it because I messed up so much in the past. But it's also because it's just like, I don't know what it is, but you forget how good God is sometimes. Like you know He's good and you're praising Him and you're thanking Him and you're praying and you're spending this time in church or you're creating a relationship with Him. And it's like He'll bless you and then, a week will go by or a month will go by and I mean every day that you wake up and you're breathing, you're blessing. Every day that you have a place to live, you're blessed. Every day that you have people in your life who love you, you are blessed. So it's not like I'm not blessed every single day. But God outdoes Himself. Like He will do things that I'm just like amazed at. I'm like, me? But me, like even me, you even love me. You even care about me. You even see me. Like you really truly see me and you really truly care about my well-being and the things that I want for my life. The things that matter to me, even though it doesn't really matter to Him, we matter to Him. Like that little like job probably matters nothing to God because He's like, I can provide a million other ways for you to get income. This is not the only job in the world. It could be a person. You're like, oh, I really want, this. Maybe a person is a bad thing to say, but because most of the time, if it's bad for you, God's not gonna give it to you. But but other things like you could say, oh, I really one day want to live in this house because this is my dream house, and I'm not idolizing the house. I'm just saying that this is the type of house that I always imagined I'd be able to live in, and in my heart, it fills my heart to know that I've made it to a place like this. Not that the house is gonna, magically make me happy or anything like that, or give me the joy and peace that God does. But God will see that, and because you know that you're not idolizing it, and God knows that you're not idolizing it or putting anything before Him, He gives it to you. And it could be something as simple as it's a house that people have lived in for like the last 20 years or something. Everything's been re-renovated the last year. The couple decides they want to travel the world or something, and the house goes for sale. You're thinking, oh man, this house is probably so expensive. It's just one of those houses, you'll never be able to be in it or whatever else. And God is saying, ye of little faith. Next thing you know, the house is right in your price range. And actually, the family, because they know you, give you a deal on it because no one wants to live there. They're not planning on coming back there. They just want to get rid of the house so that they can move on and fly back to wherever it is they're from or whatever else. And you, at a rate that you did not even think that you could get this house, and not that you would undercut anyone because you want to be fair and godly. And also, it's just a blessing. You just get this house just like that. And just when you thought that it was impossible, anything is possible with God. And it's like that for everything. Like there's things in my life I could have never imagined would work out or be able to happen like that. And it's so weird because God will just create opportunities out of thin air. He really does. Like you can never see it coming. I I was going to go do something, and I'm just going to paraphrase because I don't want to break this down, and I don't, but God will just put you in a place that you need to be in, exactly where you need to be at the exact appointed time, just so everything works out the way that He always intended it to. And it's so funny because when things happen in my life, like blessings happen or things happen, I'm just like, oh, that's why you wanted me to write on the days when I didn't feel like writing. That's why you wanted me to write how I was feeling and the things that I was going through. That's why you wanted me to take this course. That's why you wanted me to go this place. And God just continuously amazes me. I wish I could say it another way, but even when I can't see how it's going to work out, and some days it's really hard to be able to see how I'm going to make it out of certain situations or how things will work out for my benefit or whatever else. And I really need to get a tissue so I look like all those other classy people online that have like a Q-tip and they're just like, and it looks so good, but this is just what it is. And it's just, it always amazes me how he just works everything out. How he really just, you just don't understand how amazing God is. Like, the person that I am today, I never imagined I could be this person. I never could have dreamed of being able to be this person. And it's all God. It really is. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. Like, yes, I was obedient and willing to sacrifice, but God just saw my willingness to be obedient and took it and blessed me. He blessed my life. He blessed my family, my friends, he blessed me with things that I didn't think that I could have. And he even blessed me with hope. Even when I felt like there's no way that this could happen for me, he gave me hope. Oh my goodness. Faith is just one of those things that gives you the hope that you need when you can't see a solution. It doesn't matter how bad it gets. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter what the doctor says. It doesn't matter what what is happening in the situation in life. A human being would say it's impossible. There's no way this is happening. And that's how I feel every time God blesses me. Like, there's no way. There's no way this is happening. It's no way he would bless me like this. It's no way that he would really give me hope when I really didn't think that this was possible. And he continues to amaze me. He continues to just do, oh my goodness, like you don't even understand. It's so hard to explain unless you feel it, unless you really are in his presence. It's really hard to be able to just put into words the goodness of God. It's really, whenever I talk to people who are like borderline, like they kind of want to be Christian but they don't know, and they're going through life and they're so stressed and they have all of these worries. I'm just like, I wish they could understand that if they just put their faith in God, they don't have to be as worried as they are. They don't have to worry at all because God will take care of everything. Just be obedient and focus on Him, and everything that you could ever imagine will be given unto you. And God is just, whew, my heart feels so full every time I think about God. Every time I'm in God's presence, I just feel like overwhelming joy, like joy unspeakable. And I know what it means when I read it in the Bible. When I was studying the Bible and I'm going through and I'm looking at the things and I look and I see He will give you unspeakable joy. And I couldn't in words explain how I felt being in God's presence, or how it felt when you rededicate your life to God or you give your life to Him. But when I read that in the Bible, that's exactly what it was. That's that's exactly what I was feeling. And oh my gosh, I know one day I'm not gonna cry on one of these videos and y'all are gonna be like, okay, there we go. We finally got a video without her crying. But he is just so amazing. And anything that I can do for God, I want to do. And it's not just a words thing, it's for real. And it's not always being easy being uncomfortable, but it is so worth it. Every time I'm uncomfortable and I do something for God, I feel so blessed. I feel so much closer to Him. His voice is stronger. It's louder. I can hear. I don't I don't need to take longer to discern. It's like the closer I get to God, the easier it is to discern, the easier it is to understand and see things the way that God intended for me to see them, to have answers to things that I have questions to in my life. It's like immediate instead of it being like, okay, here's an hour, a couple days, and then there's the answer. And sometimes when God doesn't say an answer, it usually just means wait, to rest in His word, continue to be faithful, and then the answer will come to you. And sometimes it'll come from a person. I'll just be like, God, I don't know what to do about this situation. What should I do? And I'll come in contact with someone and they'll just be like, it's really important to just be patient, especially in any season of your life. And they'll say something, or the pastor will say something, and I'm like, okay. And I'll get goosebumps. I'll get like this, I don't know if I should call it goosebumps, but this feeling like when, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you'll hear a word and it literally just, you could feel it in your soul, like in your spirit. You could feel it in your spirit. It moves your spirit. And I never experienced anything like that until I rededicated my life to God. It was like when I was down and out and I really felt like that was the end. Like, what was the purpose? Like I really was, I couldn't see another day, like I couldn't see me going on. And I could hear God's voice, like when I called out to Him, crying and feeling like that was it. I really was. I really, I'm only here today because of God. I'm only I'm only here because of him. I really shouldn't have made it. But God, the power of God is so strong. He can really pull you through anything. And just like the Bible says, when one of his children are weak, when they are in a weakened state crying out to him, he will come. When I read that verse in the Bible, that's exactly what happened to me. I was literally the lowest I've ever been in my entire life. I was the weakest I had ever felt in my entire life. And I called out to him and I heard his voice so powerfully. Like, I've never, ever in my life heard his voice like that before that moment. When he called out and he said, I never intended for you to have to go through this. And he pulled me up. I could just feel it, like, get up. And it's so ironic and funny, but the first sermon that I listened to when I first started listening to sermons was by Sarah Jakes Roberts. It's called Girl Get Up. If you have not listened to it and you feel like life has gotten you down, you feel like you can't make it, or you just need something to push you, you need some kind of motivation, first pray to God. Turn to God first before any human being, because you can't idolize any person. And after you turn to God and you tell him what's on your mind, play the Sarah Jakes Roberts Girl Get Up sermon, and it will move your spirit. It literally jolted me into purpose. Like, it was a series of unfortunate events and things that happened that just, it's like I called out to God and he put everything in my path that I needed to make it through. Everything. My, my, oh my goodness. The sermon was there, the courses were there, the videos were there, the books were there that I needed. Like, it was like I just turned on the computer and there was all of these things about healing. I turned on, the TV, and instead of watching like a regular show, I watched something that was inspirational. I really just dove into sermons and things like that. And I was spending all this time with God, and my family surrounded me like they never have in my entire life. Like, they've always been there for me, but it was like God put on everybody's heart that was a part of my life, my friends and my family, that I needed them. And they literally rallied around me. And when I was weak, they were strong enough to pull me through. God put everything there that I needed to make it through. And I know it's God because there's no other way I can explain it. It's not like I called people and said, hey, I'm going through this. I need you here. I didn't do anything. I just called on God and he took care of everything else. He took care of everything else for me. And I know I always get emotional when I talk about God because it's just his goodness, man. Oh my goodness. You just don't understand. Oof. Okay. Let me go ahead and cut this video off because I'm about to eat dinner and it's getting late. So, in conclusion, no matter who is in your life, no matter how someone treats you, lead with love and kindness. Always have good intentions. You don't want to leave from a bad place and expect to get something good. You reap what you sow. So if you're sowing good things, even if it's a bad person, you're getting back something better. And always know. And what is it? What is it? Good measure, shaken together, and running over. I can't remember how it goes. Oh, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, something like that. And so, just really make sure that you are being to someone else how you would want them to be to you, and always stand up for yourself. Don't just be loud and inconsiderate and rude and nasty, or, you know, feel like you have to raise your voice or anything like that to make a point. All you have to do is just be stern and lead with love and kindness. This is not what you're going to tolerate. No, you don't have to smile and giggle and kiki like it's funny, because it's not funny. This is your life. Your life is not a joke. And if we keep on pretending like our life is a joke, people will take it as a joke because they don't value their life. But if you really value your life, you need to put your foot down. You need to stand on what you believe in. You need to make sure that you are stern and let your yes be yes and your no's be absolutely no. Do not allow someone else's character to rub off on you, to take you to a place that you don't need to be, to make you something that God never intended you to be. Always remember whose you are, because if you are seeking God, everything else will be given to you.